into his living quarters. It was then that he felt that a presence was finally trying to drive him out.
To be perfectly honest with you, I was terrified. Once you've established that you are actually awake and this is really happening, very, very quickly your mind is overwhelmed by fear. The bureau looked like it just moved 2 or 3 feet away from the wall where it's placed. I still can't believe I found myself in that situation. It was pure hell. It was the last call for me. I was desperate. It did wear me down. The only way I could deal with it, and the way I did deal with it in the end, was to sit at the bottom of the stairs of the main house, and I found myself talking to a property, trying to make whoever it is here not feel threatened. But I wasn't going to change anything dramatically or drastically, and actually I was here to try and maintain and look after the place rather than being a threat. If that particular evening hadn't taken place, I'm sure I wouldn't be here now.
Since that night, Chris has come to terms with life at the Priory, but he remains forever on his guard.
It's a situation where I don't really want to know the ins and outs of whys and the wherefores. I'm here for a blink in time, and I'm just irrelevant in a scale of things, really, and I am here just for a blink. After all, it's their house, and I'm just a guest.
Is it perhaps possible that buildings are not mere bricks and mortar, that they can somehow carry the dark traces of an unseen world? The Isle of Wight, 3 miles from mainland Britain, atop a hill in the northern coastal town of Ryde, sits a Victorian building. For decades, residents say they've been terrorized there.
Nothing would induce me to go back and live there now. To actually spend a night in a place, I don't really know what we were thinking about, to be honest. I mean, it just frightens the life out of me to think about it. My stomach churns at the thought of what went on there. The building, to me, is alive. It's got evil. And I think there's something buried in there.
John and Margaret Oakley moved in to the top floor flat of the converted Victorian house, and at first, nothing suggested the events that would unfold.
It was a gradual thing, to be quite honest. It wasn't really until some major situations occurred that I came to realise there was something not quite right. There's something outside yourself that seemed to be there. Something in the darkness that you can't see and you don't know what it is. We were asleep in the bedroom. About 2 o'clock in the morning, was an attack, trying to envelop me. It was oppressive. I was paralysed with fear. I was frightened to put my hand in the bed to put the light on, for wondering what I was going to see. It stopped immediately. You flooded the room with light. And it's even greater shock, really, to see that there wasn't anything there. Which was even worse. You know, because you can't defend yourself against nothing. After that, I searched that flat. I looked up the chimney, I looked behind everything, and I even went up in the roof, and I couldn't see a thing. I don't want to go down that road where those wings came from. That was from a very dark place indeed. I knew after that that the force in that building was evil. The whole atmosphere of the place was so bad I didn't want to stay.
Days later, the Oakleys fled the flat. Sometime afterwards, Dean and Georgina Rogers became tenants.
I don't know what they were. I don't pretend to know what ghosts are. But they were present in that building.
And Georgina believes a female presence, began to focus on a particular member of the Rogers family.
Everything I did with my son in the flat was being watched by her. It felt like she was present behind me every time I bathed him, every time I dressed him, every time I changed his nappy, every time I